Now, she's one of the most familiar faces on the congressional committee investigating last year's attack on the U.S. Capitol. But House Republican Liz Cheney is now fighting for her political life. She's about to face a vote in her conservative state of Wyoming to decide who will run in midterm elections later this year. And she's up against a challenger backed by former President Donald Trump.
I'm a Trump fan. And I think she just sort of turned her back on him. That's it.
Well, right off the bat, over 70% of the state of Wyoming voted Republican in the last presidential election, and she turned right around and voted against us. She was our representative, not her own.
Liz, I feel like, put herself out there possibly to her own political peril. But her standing up for the truth and the Constitution is what got her my vote.
Well, for more on those stories, let's bring in Arise US correspondent Eric Ham, who joins us from Washington. Good to see you, Eric. So a primary election in Wyoming seen as a key test of the strength of moderate Republican views against Donald Trump. Liz Cheney, one of the few Republicans to have been fiercely critical of Mr. Trump, facing a major challenge from a political newcomer who's backed by Mr. Trump. Tell us more.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone is watching this race tonight. In fact, this is the highlight of tonight's race, where we are going to see three races that will feature very big names, but no name bigger than, of course, Liz Cheney, who co-chairs the January 6th committee. And in fact, if she loses, she will be 8 of the 10 Republicans who supported impeachment of the former president that will have lost elections. And I think it will speak to just how powerful Donald Trump's hold on the Republican Party is. Now, of course, while right now polling data shows that Liz Cheney is down by as much as 30 points, she is hoping for a Hail Mary. She is hoping that both Democrats and independents will actually get out and support her candidacy. But still, that is going to be a very, very heavy lift in a state where Republicans outweigh both Democrats and independents 4-1. This is a state where Liz Cheney's father actually represented the state in Congress before going on to serve as 2 terms as vice president. And so clearly, Liz Cheney is seen as royalty, not only in the Republican Party, but in the state of Wyoming. And that name Cheney certainly holds sway. But clearly what we are seeing here is Donald Trump won this state overwhelmingly by more than 70 points. In fact, Wyoming is a state where Donald Trump had the biggest margin of victory of any state that he actually won in the 2020 election. And still, what that speaks to is while the Cheney name may have impact and hold sway, clearly it doesn't do enough to move the needle, given how much control Donald Trump holds over the party right now. And then, of course, if we look at the other state where the other big names, Sarah Palin, who is running for a House seat, looking to return to the national spotlight after 14 years of being away, where she, of course, made her name as the vice presidential candidate running with John McCain against Barack Obama. And of course, Lisa Murkowski, another Republican from the state of Alaska that Donald Trump is also targeting. But of course, many believe that Lisa Murkowski may hold on and win there.
And Eric, you mentioned Liz Cheney's father there, the former Vice President Dick Cheney, normally a neo-conservative by nature, now finding himself in effect on the liberal wing of his party. I understand he's delivered a campaign advertisement to support his daughter. How much impact is that having?
Yeah, that's a really good point. In fact, we have seen commercials with her that she has run featuring her father, but still, it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. Right now, what we're seeing in the state is Liz Cheney is losing. In fact, Charles, with the race being held tonight, we are now learning that Liz Cheney has done very little actual campaigning in the state of Wyoming over the last few weeks. And so that speaks to perhaps maybe she recognizes the writing on the wall that this race is over, or perhaps she's figured out a different way to actually campaign. We don't know exactly why she's not working much more diligently to try to hold on to that seat. But many believe that even if Liz Cheney loses this race, she will be seen as a much more powerful force. In fact, our sources are telling us that Liz Cheney is actually working with other anti-Trump Republicans to field a candidate for 2024. And many believe and speculate that it could be Liz Cheney herself.
Very interesting indeed. So big questions being raised for the Republican Party and for American democracy in Wyoming. But let's just turn away from that, Eric, and talk about Donald Trump's former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who's under criminal investigation in the state of Georgia. Tell us more.
Yeah, that's right. Rudy Giuliani, once seen as America's mayor, is now a target of a potential criminal investigation in the state of Georgia. This is a criminal investigation looking at using fake electors to overturn an election. We do know that Rudy Giuliani actually attempted to try to compel a judge to not have him stand to provide testimony, saying that he was too ill to do so and that he could not fly. The judge said that he needed to either get on a train or get in a car and make his way to Georgia. So he is expected to provide testimony tomorrow on Wednesday. We heard from his lawyer, and when asked by his lawyer if, in fact, Rudy Giuliani would plead the fifth, the right not to incriminate himself, he says, "We don't know yet. We will not make that decision until Rudy Giuliani is actually prepared to testify."
And Eric, just before we go, we've got about 30 seconds or so. U.S. First Lady Jill Biden testing positive for COVID, but no cause for alarm.
That's right. In fact, we know that she tested positive. Her and her husband, the president, are actually in South Carolina for their August recess. We're told that she has tested positive. She has mild symptoms, and she is quarantining at their location in South Carolina.
Eric, thanks very much indeed. Eric Ham, Arise US correspondent, talking to me from Washington.